game or an experiment, the Wyoming Incident hides more than meets the eye. Let's try to peek behind the curtain and find out what's there. Follow me to the end, and I'll show you how this story may be connected to research that the authorities have been hiding for years. In the depths of YouTube, beyond the reach of trending lists and popular feeds, exist channels so strange and frightening that they challenge everything we know about the world around us. Hi, my name is Victor, and I'm the author and host of the channel Scary Mysterious Videos. In our past issues, we have talked about strange and mysterious videos from the web, which nevertheless always inevitably turned out to be connected to some real-world events. Today, however, we're going to talk about a series of clips called the Wyoming Incident, which many view solely as part of a carefully constructed alternate reality game. However, certain aspects of the story make me doubt that everything that happens in the Wyoming Incident has nothing to do with real-world events, and today I intend to share with you the reasons for my skepticism. Well, before delving into the heart of my doubts, I will briefly introduce you to the basic information about this game and its key stages. I don't see the point in going into detail about how it evolved and what changes it underwent over time within the scope of this issue. However, if you are interested in all the plot twists and personalities behind the Wyoming Incident, I recommend Nightmind's research. This piece is the best that has been produced on the subject, and a link to it will be available in the description of this video. So, the multi-layered history of this game began with a video called The Wyoming Incident, posted by an anonymous user in August 2006 on the now-defunct Google Video service. The description claimed that an unknown person had managed to take over a television station in the state of Wyoming, and as a result, instead of the usual broadcast, viewers were shown a video with the title, "We present a special presentation," repeated every 30 to 40 seconds. This was followed by black and white footage of digital images of a human face alternating with each other and showing different emotions. These images were interspersed with chaotic captions with no obvious meaning. According to the description, the incident was of a localized nature, and probably the general public would never have known about it if not for the strange effect it had on the few viewers who watched the broadcast for a long time. It was alleged that frequencies between 17 and 19 Hz, heard regularly throughout the broadcast, caused severe physical and mental reactions, ranging from headaches and vomiting to hallucinations and other unexplained symptoms. The identity of the person behind the publication of the first video is still a mystery. Some believe that the original video was created by one author, and later someone else, inspired by the content of this clip, took it as a basis for the development of ARG. In fact, it was the game that brought the video wide fame, turning it into an element of a large-scale hoax. And the events developed as follows. Until January 2007, this clip remained unnoticed, until a group of unknown enthusiasts began to publish it and other videos like it on one of the popular forums. This is how the game was born, where each new clip became a reward for its participants. Despite the fact that the videos differed from each other only by incoherent inscriptions, the very idea of this game fascinated many people, and for some of them even became a kind of religion. The creators of the game methodically created a chain of breadcrumbs hidden in the descriptions and comments to the first videos posted on various internet resources, to lead participants through a network of riddles and reveal to them the main idea of the game. According to their view, there is a group of beings that feed on human suffering, the so-called black-eyed children, entities associated with darkness, fear, and destruction. They are the children of the dark muse of paranoia and embody irrational fear and chaos. Their purpose is to inspire terror and destroy the minds of those they come in contact with. They are opposed by the good muses, mythological creatures symbolizing creativity, harmony, and perfection. The organizer of the game was someone who called himself Puppet Master and claimed to be a messenger of the dark muses. This figure directed the moderators, who manipulated the players at his behest, creating a complex network of puzzles and interactions. Puppet Master himself always remained in the shadows and never communicated directly with the participants, relaying his instructions exclusively through the moderators. In this concept, the Wyoming Incident videos act as a catalyst. The frequencies hidden in their content either bring out the worst traits in a person if they are prone to vices, or cause physical ailments if they are free of them. In addition, for those suffering from mental illness, watching videos can be a trigger, unleashing their inner demons and provoking an exacerbation of the disease. At first, the authors of this game have shown an enviable consistency and cogency. It's enough to look at the site where the Wyoming Incident eventually settled for a long time, following a string of breadcrumbs left by the organizers. It's about a forum called the Happy Cube, abandoned since 2004 and associated with a highly shocking, though probably fictional concept. As part of the Wyoming Incident storyline, the forum was described as a place where murders committed by its members were discussed, including a sinister game in which some people allegedly preyed on others, calling it cubing. Until 2004, the owner of the forum was a character whose sadistic tendencies, as legend has it, were aroused by a video from the series The Wyoming Incident. However, according to the story, in 2004, one of the participants allegedly gave a statement to the police after a conflict with the moderators of the site. After that, activity on the forum ceased, and it remained abandoned until our ARG members showed up on this resource. Now, let us interrupt our narrative for a moment and think about the extent of the work that the authors were able to do before the launch of the game. If the forum really existed before 2004, it was probably originally an ordinary thematic resource dedicated to, say, speedy Rubik's Cube assembly or discussion of board games. In order to customize it, the organizers of the Wyoming Incident would have had to create hundreds of posts about cubing and the fictional interactions of the Happy Cube forum members. What's more, they would have had to retroactively change the timestamps on those posts to create the illusion of long-standing activity. And this is where my doubts first crept in. Is everything that happens in the Wyoming Incident really just a fictional story? However, let's move on. As the game progressed, its story became more and more confusing and chaotic. Some moderators suddenly announced that it was all just a joke and a prank. Others, on the contrary, claimed that the video and the game itself were created and run by an amateur group of psychologists from the UK. Moreover, the country's authorities were said to have launched an official investigation into the group because of complaints from relatives of the game's participants, who claimed that it was causing the players to show signs of PTSD. The actions of the organizers described above led to confusion and frustration among key participants. As a result of these events, the game first slowed down and then stopped developing altogether. Nevertheless, it left behind many questions and misunderstandings that have yet to be explained. Despite some of the fanciful mythology of the Wyoming Incident, there are several factors that make one think that the game may have had a real foundation after all. First, the concept of using low-frequency sound to induce physiological and psychological effects has both a scientific basis and confirmation in experiments. For example, the secret CIA MKUltra program, the existence of which was officially recognized by the authorities, studied methods of mind control through psychotropic substances, sound stimuli, and audiovisual technologies. Although the program was officially discontinued in 1973, its methods could be adapted for a new generation of experiments on the effects of content on the psyche. In this paradigm, the Wyoming Incident can be seen as the next stage in the development of such experiments. MKUltra had already studied the effects of infrasound on the brain, and programs building on its legacy could be adapted to the new media of television and the internet. The organizers of the Wyoming Incident may have used ARG as a site to study participants' reactions to disturbing visual images, specific frequencies, and ritualized content. Of course, if you watch a clip of the Wyoming Incident, it is highly likely that nothing will happen to you. However, for good reason, one of the most compelling cases of PTSD manifesting itself while playing a game was the case of one Joseph Bright. This man, who suffered from a mental illness, was taking psychoactive tablets prescribed by his doctor. Let me remind you that in MKUltra, infrasound was applied to test subjects only after taking psychotropic medicaments. According to eyewitnesses, as the game progressed, Bright's condition worsened. He became less and less adequate, threatened others, and quite possibly resorted to violence. To these we should add the above-mentioned words of one of the moderators of the Wyoming Incident, who spoke under the pseudonym Something Awful, that the British authorities started an investigation against the organizer. You might argue one or two cases is not an indicator. The rest of the participants apparently felt no impact. However, my response would be simply, are you sure about that? Dozens, if not hundreds, of players, following the orders of the organizers and taking part in strange rituals at their behest, devoted years to a game whose prize was videos that differed from each other only by a set of meaningless phrases. The scale of psychological influence here can be compared to that exerted by religious sects on their adherents. How did the organizers manage to achieve this effect without even making personal contact with the players? One more weighty argument is the scale and level of preparation of the forum, the Happy Cube. According to the story, it was supposedly abandoned long before the game started, but still contained many posts by its old members on the topic of cubing. Assuming that the forum was found by the authors of the Wyoming Incident by accident, this speaks to the incredible luck of the organizers. However, if the forum was, as mentioned earlier, adapted, it proves that the game's authors had considerable resources, professional knowledge, and perhaps a scientific interest. All these may indicate that the game is linked to real experiments or research. In general, parsing this story, one can't help but conclude that there was something more serious behind it than just a group of internet enthusiasts. The complexity of the mythology, the interaction with players through moderators, the abundance of symbolism and the emphasis on psychological impact. All this resembles an experiment rather than a game. It is possible that in this case, MKUltra technology or its principles may indeed have been used privately by someone and applied in a new form. On this intriguing note, we will end this issue dedicated to the takeover of television hijacking. But not for long. Next Friday we will continue our story, and this time it will be definitely based on real events. Stay tuned. Subscribe to Scary Mysterious videos right now. Immerse yourself in the unknown and become part of the revelation. Uncover the hidden.